Hello guys, Alexander Judovic for Creative Lab Workshop speaking, and today I'm going to share with you a little tutorial how you can create something like this. Okay, so let's start. First, we'll create new composition 1200 with 1500 30 frames per second, and we'll name it OK. We'll use text tool and type any letter, for example, letter X. We will scale it up a little bit and use a line to align perfect in the middle. After that, we will recompose this X letter in the random letter 1 composition. After that, we will use texture 1 and recompose it as letter texture composition. Now we will close this composition, go to the letter random 1 and drag and drop the letter text composition inside on the bottom. And after that, we will scale it down like this. And after that, let's use rounded rectangle tool. Be sure that you didn't select any of these layers, and after that, just drag it something like this. By the way, I'm using space key on the keyboard to hold it so I can reposition the rectangle. And the end result would be something like this. Again, we can use a line to match this shape layer perfectly, and we will call it alpha. We will use stencil alpha. So what we'll do, it will tell the program that any other layer that is below this layer will use the alpha of this layer. So like you see now, the random letter and the letter texture, they all have the alpha for this one. And now we will duplicate alpha and we'll name it shadow. We will make sure that fill is 100%, that color is white, and after that, go to layer styles, inner shadow. After that, you must play around with it, something like this maybe, and size it like this, and use, instead of stencil alpha, use multiply, so it looks something maybe like this. You can play it with the angle we need to achieve the shadow right here on the top. And after that, we will say that it looks fine for now. We will select this composition, letter random 1, and pre-compose it, and we will name this letter all. Now we have letter all composition, and inside we have letter render 1, and inside of letter render 1 we have just one text symbol, in this case X, and the texture for the background. Now we will use this letter render 1 for starting animation for just one letter. First we must create the mask for it, and let me show you what I mean by that. We will draw a mask like this. Now we must zoom this and try to fit this perfectly on the middle. If you don't have this, use title action saves so you can see the center position for this composition. And after that, we will duplicate this. And now we will use this mask, but we will double click on that and drag in the upper edge. We will drag on the other side. So now we have this and this. Now, so we can know, we will label this downside with yellow label and the upper side, for example, let it be blue. Now, when you see the blue, you know that that is the upper and the yellow is the downer. So we have two half for the same letter now. Now we will go to the timeline, increase, and now let's start to animate. We will use the blue, the up half of the letter, and let's hit rotate, but first let's turn both of these half into the 3D layers and also give them a motion blur, and after that we will animate this X position. So we will use key on the 0 and on the 10 we will rotate it like this until we go to the 180. But sorry, I should go to the 10th frame. Do that. Now we have 0, 180. Okay, now we will select both of these frames. Go to the graph editor for this. Select both of these frames. Hit this one, and now we'll zoom it so we can just hold Shift key and on the keyboard while you're dragging this so you can. And now let me hit 10 so I can render just this part. Okay, very good for now. Maybe we can make it 12. And now when we done that, now we have to resolve the other issue. You see, when this upper side of the letter roll, it should have the other letter here. Now that's the tricky part. So we will hit T key on the keyboard to reveal the opacity for these two layers. Now we will select this upper side of the letter and hold Alt key while clicking on the keyframe here, and like you see, we start expression, then Control paste this expression and just close this. Now let me show you what it does. You see, it disappeared. So actually this expression tells the computer and the program to, when this letter facing the camera from this side, let it be shown, and when this upper side goes to this side, then it will be hidden and opacity will be 0. So if you take a look at opacity here, you see when it shows the front side of this layer, it has 100% opacity, and just when it turns and we can see the back side, then you have 0. You can take a look from the left side. So here is the left side of this. So like you see, this layer is rotating to the front, and because the camera is on the front of these layers, you can see this layer perfectly from the front side, and after when it comes over the 19 degrees, then because the camera is here, we see the back side, and that's the reason why the opacity is 0 and the layer is invisible. Okay, so we will duplicate now both of these letters, drag it on the button and select and choose Reveal Layer Source in Project. After that, we will Control-D duplicate, render letter 2, and then select both of these layers and Alt drag here, so you can now insert this letter random 2. Now we have 2 letters. We will go inside this composition, and after that we will again reveal this source composition the project and duplicate letter 2 and drag and hold Alt key on the keyboard and drag and drop it. You must select this one, and then just Alt drag and drop it to replace random letter 1 with random letter 2. Now open this and change this to, for example, R. Now we have 2 letters, and if you can notice, both of these letters are there, but only the first letter is visible. Now what should we do? We will select the second letter and hit U on the keyboard to reveal the animation for this. And now when we move this here, when you rotate, you will see that air animation is still standing. Now the main part is to, if you see, we have, let me show you, for example, we have air below, and because this letter random 1 is, the switches are turned on, that's the reason why we can see letter random 1, but it's there below, behind the first letter. So when the first letter, this upper side of the letter is turned here, then we will select the down side of the second letter and then drag in and tell it to be parent of the letter random 1 upper side. What that will do? Well, it will, now when we go back, you see this X key now are driving the second letter. I'm not sure that I was clear enough when I said it before, but let me explain again. So actually, first letter will be, let me turn on second layer. First letter will be rotating, and at some point the upper side will be rotated and collapse with the lower side. At that point, you must parent this downside of the second letter, that it's already there on this place. So if I solo switches on this letter, you see this hair is already there below. So when you parent it on this animated, let me show you the keyframes, on this animated first already rotated side, then when you go backward, you see the air key will now be driven by the first random letter 1. So that's the actually very easy solution for this. Now we have only one problem, and that is when we have multiple letters that overlapping, the layers need to look as the part of the 3D space, to the same 3D space. So how can we do that? Now we can use random layer 1P position to reveal the position keyframes, and we will create new keyframes. And let's now hit U key so we can reveal all the keyframes for this layer, and at the 12, in the place of the hand rotation keyframes, we will create new keyframes, and that is the 1 here and 2 here. And when you look now here, you will notice that this layer have movement to the back. So now when we're rotating the upper layer, when it's rotating to overlapping the downside is drawing back, and the overlapping upper sides also drawing back, and we have 2, 1, 0. Now that is the principle that will work for us, so we can duplicate the letters and create animation overlapping that multiple text will overlapping, and number will overlapping each other and work perfectly in 3D space. So now let's create the position for the second letter, and we will again hit P, and after that let's reveal the rotation. We will move rotation something like this, and after that we will do next, and that is we will move this here so we can zero position at z-axis at the start of the rotation. We will create the 2 keyframe with the 2 value, and here is 1. Sorry, here is 1. And for this, we will create just 1, and we'll position it all, maybe it's better be 2, and we'll position something in the middle of the rotation. Now, let me explain what this will do. You have the layer letter random 1 and letter random 2, and the letter random 2 is following the letter random 1. So when you have rotation, letter random 2 is following, like you see, the letter random 1, but this this position Z axis, it's actually telling the letter random 2 it's okay to be at the same position on the X axis, on the Z axis at the start of the rotation, but when this letter, first letter, start rotating, the second letter should be in front. Like you see, this value of 2 from 0 to 2, it gives you the advantage of over the z-axis, so it will be right in front of the camera, so it wouldn't be overflipped with the letter 1. So it starts from the same value, and the end, our letter 2 will be at the front of the camera, and that's the trick that should help us with overlapping these multiple letters. Okay, so let's continue with the letter. We will now try to duplicate letter 2, then go to letter 2 and duplicate, open it, letter 2, random letter 2, duplicate, and then let it be T for this random letter. So we had X, R, and now let's just select these keyframes and just move it a little bit down the road, and now the main part of this should be, let's go somewhere where there isn't keyframes, that animation is over, and then select this third letter and just drag down this. So now we actually telling, let me change this to the third letter, so we will have T letter now involved, and we will telling by this the third letter move, follow this second letter flipping, and when it follows the flipping, it will be backward animation, so it will rotate it upward. So when you play it from the beginning, you see R, T, and every one of them are right where it should be. So it worked perfectly. Okay, now we have to create more letters. I think about 15 of them will be enough. It's a lot of work, so let's start doing that. Now you can duplicate again. You can select one of them, hit Ctrl D, duplicate, then go to the reveal layer source of the project. Let me show you again. Reveal, then duplicate, Ctrl D to duplicate, then select both of this layer, Alt drag to change it, then go inside this composition, random letter 3, select, duplicate, drag with Alt key, select and enter the position, and then type, for example, S key. But there is another way to do this, and that is easier, very much easier way to do this is just using the TrueCom duplicator script, beautiful script. You should look it. If you need something like this on a regular basis, you can look it on the internet and find it. It doesn't come for free, but it sure is a nice script to have. So let me show you how it works. Duplicate selected. OK. And like you see, a letter random 5 is created. When you insert the composition, enter the composition, you will find random letter 5 also duplicate. And when you go inside, you can edit the key and, for example, age, choose age. So that's the faster way, and you shouldn't worry about compositions and something like that. So let me see. We have letter 4, so we will repeat the same process again. We will go move the keyframes, select this and tell this last letter to follow the previous one on the flipping. And then we have X, R, T, S working perfectly. Now we can again duplicate. You key on the keyboard to repeat the following steps with the keyframes. Select and let's replace the letter random 5. Now let's move a little bit faster on this. And again. And again. Now we have lots of letter. And let's create additional copies of the compositions. Duplicate. 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 I think the 10 of them is more than enough. Then we have, it's a little bit physical work. Now we should get fast on this. 8, 9, 10. Then we have 3, 4, 5, 2, 6, 7, 8. And now you key on the keyboard to reveal the, and let's go through this as quick as we can. So we'll have to select, let's go one by one, or maybe we can go because like this. So you see if rotation start here, then we set rotation from the next layer starting here, and then if this rotation start here, then we set the next location started here, and then it should be like this. And then for the last part of this equation, we'll do something like this. And after that, all we have is to connect all these layers to the previous one. So we'll go at the end of all the keys. So like you see, the last keys ends here. So we'll go in the timeline on the 105, 145, and after that, let's check this at 5. Okay, let's go this to the 7 and this to the 9, and this to the 11, and this to the 13, and this to the 15, and this to the 17, and I'm not sure if this does work, and hopefully it will work perfectly, but I'm not sure even if this has sense to you, but I simply connecting the next letter to the previous one, following the pattern. And now the moment of truth. Moment of truth is here. Let's find out if we connect everything good. So we should see something like this: H, 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 D, S. Okay, for now it's looking fine. Let's find out when we change the random letter. So you open Okay, let's close all of these compositions and let's see now what does this look like. Let's save the project so we wouldn't lose our work, and let's switch it to water resolution for fast render. Okay, look great. Now we will select all the mask. Let me first reveal all the options for the mask by hitting M key on the keyboard 2 times fast. We'll select all the mask on all the layers. Like this, and then we will go and change mask expansion from 0 to -10. Then let's see what we have. We have this gap on the middle, and it's perfect. Now we have all the letters randomly. And now all we have to do is to create final letter. And let's go to the letter random 10 and duplicate. Then final letter 1. Now we will go to the bottom of this composition, duplicate, drag it down and edit it with final letter 1. Reveal the keyframes and select this, drag it like here, and just delete this key to the and now change this to 3. And that is it. Now we can select all the others and hold Alt key in the right bracket on the keyboard to trim the positions for them. And at the end, all we left is one main letter. Now we will go inside, duplicate, we will name it change fin letter 1. And now let's save and clean the project a little bit. So we will create composition, we will create folder, sorry. Change file here. And we will insert change fin letter 1 here. And we will change it to C. Then we will create another folder. We'll name it don't edit this, and we will all this inside render chunks. Let's close these compositions. And we will go to the letter all and recompose it. And now we will name this terminal 1080p and put it in the render comps. Now we will edit this composition settings. So, okay, now this is the 100%. We will use, is it a 3D layer, and we will hit this switch. Okay, so we'll now use the texture tool and pre-comp it. We will name it texture. Now we'll drag and drop it on the composition, on the main composition. Create 3D layer. And now let's go to the front camera water resolution, and after that Let's scale down this for example, let it be 50, and the texture we will create something like this. Okay, now let's Control D to duplicate the texture, move it aside, something like this. Control D, duplicate texture, and to the left side, something like this. Then select left and right and transform, flip horizontal. So that way, when you look at this, we have more kind of seamless texture. Like this here. Now select all three background texture and let's move them up. And again, transform vertical. Now we have seamless texture. It's very rough, very fast. It doesn't need to be perfect. I think it will work fine just like this. And now select all of 9 background textures and pre-compose it and name it background texture all. Hit this for compare collapse transformation, and now let's organize the letters, and we will choose the camera. We will put it like this, and then we will need to number the letters, and we have for the Creative Lab we have 1, 2, 4, 8, 2, 4, 8, and again I will duplicate these 4, but I only need 3 of them, and like this, and I delete the 4th, and we have this nice 11 letters, in this case for our title Creative Lab. Now we will position them exactly as we want them to be, right at the middle. And now we will work a little bit on the, so we'll zoom this. And now let's create mask for the background. Now we will select the background and we will choose rounded rectangle tool, and if the setting is the same, okay, let's use the full here and just the first letter so it can work better for us. And now we must use arrow keys on the keyboard to adjust the roundness of this. Maybe something like this. Let me see. Subtract mask. And now I will select this, select this, maybe this, and this, and also let me see. Okay, it will work. Now we will select the background and the hairstyle and select stroke. And for the stroke, we will, let me hide this. And for the stroke, okay, I see the trouble, the issue right here. And let just transform a little bit like this here. Okay, let's change the color for the stroke, and actually it looks very well. We can maybe select entire mask and maybe just extend it a little bit. And when it's look perfect, now we can select mask, select other letter and duplicate the mask and position other mask to the next position of the letter. Now move the camera so we can see. Move the camera so we can see if we done the good job on this. Like this, then duplicate another, go to the third letter, move the camera, and mask 3, use the mask 3, select, double click, position it. Okay, forward, duplicate, select, position. Okay, 5, move the mask, select mask, position it, move it a little, like this. Select next one, select the mask, and repeat the same process all over again. We are nearly done. Only few letters left. we'll select 7 mask, move it on the place, and then select the 8 mask. It's a little bit tedious process, but it's surely worth trouble when it's finished. It looks beautiful, so I will select the 9 mask, and after that 10 mask, duplicate, select, move it, and only one left. 11. Let's see this final 11 mask. Okay, now all of them are ready to go. And now when we look, we have 11 letters. Now let's deal with the letters. I will letter 1, all 1. Now I will duplicate 11 times, 11. Now I will arrange them and replace them. So letter all 1, letter all 2, letter all 3, letter all 4, letter all 5, and so on until we change all 11 letters. Just use Alt key on the keyboard and drag and drop the select compositions, so you can replace the existing one with the new. And now we have all of this, and we have this. Now we can change the letters by duplicate the 11 of this one. Let's go inside these compositions and edit the text right away. We'll T and so on. What is the now it should be. Now we can go to the letter 1, letter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need to replace the final key, final letter. Okay, so we have another composition to edit. Final letter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11. So final letter 2 and final letter 2. Let's do that for every other final letter. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now let's close all this composition and open them all. Now let's change the letters. 2 for 2, change final letter 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And Creative Lab. Okay, so we create the title, and now we have to go to the time, enable time remapping, and let's find the right place. And the right place is, of course, the final animation here. So it's 94 frame, and we will select create key frame for this moment. So we have, now we need to adjust the first we will offset this a little bit because it starts rotating from the start, from the still position to rotation. We will use this like the rotation start before the animation. So now we will select every one of them, and now we will position them a little bit different. Now you can go crazy and enter every of these compositions and change every different letter and adjust them to be different, and but I'm not sure if it's worth of this or not. But now it should be we create light, point light, let's bring it up and something like this. Let's see on the second view, we will select it like this, and then let's change the color for this light just a little bit orange, and after that we will duplicate this light, and this time we will use this light to go down and created some other color, for example little bluish for that. Then we will select both of these lights, duplicate, and move them like this, then duplicate again and move them like this, and again, and again one last time. Now we have the lights. All you have to do now is to create the camera and to create some front elements like light leak or something like that to emphasize the cinematic look with the use of the cinematic frames, and this animation will look beautiful. I will not do that on this tutorial, but I will provide free project files for you so you can download it and try this technique yourself. I hope you find this technique useful with the use these expressions for the two sides of the layer that reveals two images depend on the camera point of view, and I hope you find this tutorial useful. So this was Alexander Judovic for Creative Lab Workshop, and if you want to support our work, please subscribe on the YouTube, and we'll be back with another exciting tutorial, hopefully very soon. Okay, once again, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and see you next time. Bye.